All right, students, we are still in the statistics unit and we are moving forward. We talked about mean, mode, range. We talked about all those things. We talked about graphing, and we're going to continue talking about graphing, but not just a dot plot or a histogram. We're going to be talking about now what we call a box and whisker plot. So notice looking here, we see a box. And on the edges of this box, we see whiskers. So that's where we get our box and whisker plot from. And also notice that this box and whisker is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sections of it. 5 different, not sections, but points. And you're going to identify what those points are in just a second when we do a practice problem. But I want you to say to yourself right now, you can say it in your mind, this is going to be easy. Say it to yourself. This is going to be so easy. We already know. So box and whisker plot displays the 5-number summary. We already know 3 of those numbers. We've already been looking for those numbers, so this is going to be so simple. Now, one more thing I wanted to mention about a box and whisker plot. It is split up into 4 sections. We call these sections quartiles. All right. And each quartile is worth 25%. So 4 sections, 25% each. Think of quarters. We have 4 quarters to make a dollar. Well, we have 4 quartiles that will make up 100% of our data. All right. So let's go ahead and make what we need 5-number summary. Let's make sure we understand what those 5 numbers are. And I'm going to try to go as quick as I can so this can be a quick video so you can try some practice on your own. So follow along, write fast. Let's get these notes done. So 5-number summary. What does that include? Now, I already told you, we already know 3 of those numbers. And so I'm going to tell you what those 3 numbers are first. Minimum. We're skipping that one. Median. Skipping that one, and maximum. We already know what these are. Our smallest value, our largest value, and the middle of our data. So we already know 3 of the 5 numbers. So let me just give you some words that they use to represent these these different things on a problem you might work on. So minimum can also be referred to as lower extreme. Now you know this is the smallest value. So I just want to make sure you know they might say what is the lower extreme. No, they're talking about minimum. If they say what is the upper extreme, no, they're talking about maximum. And then we already know what the median is. It's our number in the middle of our data set. Middle of data. And I want to make sure you remember they call this sometimes, actually, let me write the other ones first. The other 2 that you're not aware of that you're learning about today is quartile 1 and quartile 3. Now hold up. What is quartile 2 and what is quartile 4? Why do I just have 1 and 3? Well, your median is referred to as your quartile 2. We don't really mention quartile 2 because we just say median. And then for our maximum, this would be our quartile 4. But like I said already, they don't really say quartile 2 and quartile 4. They usually just refer to quartile 1 and quartile 3. So, my light turned off. 1 second. Come on, light. All right, y'all know how my light turns off in this classroom sometimes. Well, moving on. We have our quartile 1 and our quartile 3. Now, you may ask yourself, what in the world is that? So I'm going to tell you. Your quartile 1 is also referred to as your first quartile, and it is the middle of the lower half. And that kind of makes sense. Our median splits our data in half. So our quartile 1 is the middle of the lower half. And now our quartile 3 is our third quartile. and it is the middle of the upper half. So we split our data in half. What's the middle of the upper half? And so looking at our box and whisker plot right here, we can see that our minimum would be here. This is our minimum. This is our maximum. This is our median. This is your quartile 1, and this is your quartile 3. We plot those 3 points on a number line, and we're able to make our box and our whisker to our minimum and maximum values. All right, so this is so simple. So let's go ahead and do a problem together. We're going to do an odd number of numbers in our data set, and then we'll do another problem with an even number of data points in our data set. But we're going to go through this quickly so that these notes can be good and quick. So I have this data set. I'm going to go ahead and put my data in order to save time. Now remember, to find the median, we can't just start working with our data. We have to put our data in order or our answer will be wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the data set that is math exam scores. And the data set includes 20, 65, 75, 80, 85, 90, and 100. This is my data set. So we already know this 20 here is going to be the minimum, and this 100 here is going to be the maximum. We already have 2 points for our box and whisker plot. All right, so now we want to find the middle. So let's go ahead and cross some things out and get to the middle. So 20, 100 gone, 65, 90 gone, 75, 80 gone. And we're left with 80 as our median. But now we need to split our data up. We're going to have a lower half and a upper half. So my lower half is going to be over here. My upper half is going to be over here. So lower half includes 20, 65, and 75. And then our upper half is going to include 85, 90, 100. Notice I did not include the median. Because the middle is the median, this number here, I've put a box around it. I'm not going to include it in my lower and upper. Okay, so now let's find the middle of those two. Middle of the lower half, 65. Middle of the upper half, 90. So our quartile 1, 65. Quartile 3, 90. All right. So now let's go ahead. We have all 5 things that we need. Minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, maximum. We have our 5 number summary. So let's go ahead and make a number line. I'm going to count by tens. So 10 to 100. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So I have counted to 100. I've made my number line, and now I'm going to simply plot my points. So let's plot these 5 points. So my first point I'm going to plot, 20. 65 for quartile 1, so in the middle of 60 and 70. 80 for my median. 90, quartile 3, and maximum 100. Now, where am I going to put my box and where am I going to put my whisker? So my goal is to put a box around the median. So I'm going to put a box from quartile 1 to quartile 3. And we know that our quartile 1 and quartile 3 are from 65 to 90. And then I'm going to also put a line down here to represent the median. And then I'm going to connect with my whiskers my minimum and maximum value. And bam, you're done. That's all we have to do. Find our 5-number summary, plot it, put a box around quartile 1 and quartile 3, and extend with whiskers to your minimum and maximum. So now I'm going to show you one more data set. Instead, this time, I want to add, I'm going to use the same data set, but I'm going to add an additional number so we can have an even number of values. All right, so let's try to finish these notes in 2 more minutes. So let me write down these values. So we have a new data set, including 20, 65, 75, 80, 85, 90, 100, and I'm adding in an additional 100. So instead of having 7 numbers, I now have 8 numbers. All right, so once again, we know that our minimum and maximum, 20 and 100, this stayed the same. Minimum, maximum. And now let's find our median. Our median is going to be a little bit different because we have more numbers. So 20, 20 and 100, 65 and 100, 75, 90, and we're left with 2 numbers in the middle. Now, how do I find my median when I have 2 numbers in the middle? Y'all know how to do this. We add the 2 numbers and divide by 2. So 80 plus 85 is 185. Divided by 2 leaves us with 82.5. That should be correct. Let me check my math. So 185 divided by 2. 185 divided by 2. Oh, it's 92.5. Good thing I checked. Actually, no, it's 82.5. What am I talking about? In the middle of 80 and 85, that would make sense for it to be 82.5 because 82.5 is in the middle of 80 and 82 is in the middle of 80 and 85. 92.5 is way over here. That wouldn't make sense. All right, so I must have typed it in my calculator wrong. But let's keep going. So we have our median. Now we need to find our lower and upper half. So my lower half is over here. And it goes over there. My upper half is from here to here. Notice I have included the 2 numbers in the middle. It's different for this first one. I didn't include it. And I did not include it because it is the median. For this one, this number in the middle is not the number here. We had to find this number. So because we had to find this number, these 2 numbers split off and they go into our lower and upper half. Okay? So let's find the middle of our lower and upper half now. So we have our lower half. $20, $65, $75, $80. Upper half. $85, $90, $100, and $100. All right, so now let's find the middle of these 2. Well, I can cross this out. I'm left with 2 in the middle. I can cross this out. I'm left with 2 in the middle. So we're going to have to do some adding and dividing by 2. So 65 plus 75 divided by 2. 65 plus 75 is 140. 140 divided by 2 is 70. So 70 is my quartile 1. Now let's come over here. 90 plus 100 divided by 2. 90 plus 100 is 190. 190 divided by 2 leaves me with 95, quartile 3. So now we have all the numbers we need. We have our minimum, our quartile 1, our median. We got some slip ups. Make sure you remember that says 82.5, our quartile 3, and our maximum. So what are we going to do with these 5 numbers? We're going to plot them. We're going to plot them on our graph. So I'm going to do it underneath the number line this time. So we have our lower extreme, 20, quartile 1, 70, quartile 2 or median is 82.5, quartile 3, 95, and maximum 100. So once again, we know our median is at 82.5. We're going to put a box from quartile 1 to quartile 3. So let's do that. Quartile 1 to quartile 3 with a line signifying the median, the middle of the box, and then whiskers. Notice how that one number, that one additional number we added in, has changed our box and whisker plot ever so slightly. Okay, so making sure you find the values of your 5-number summary correctly is very important. So remember the steps we took. Remember how if we include the median or we don't include the median into our lower and upper half. We're going to do a practice problem now on your own. So get ready. Let's do some practice.